What in the world is happening, Chargers fans? Every single piece of information until probably the latest from Adam Schefter has been horrible for the Chargers after their joint practice with the 49ers. Let's dive into all of it, and hopefully the sky isn't falling when we're all said and done. Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but ladies and gentlemen, this might have been the worst Chargers practice in the history of ever. Yes, in the history of ever. That's what I'm saying. Although, hopefully the latest information has kind of come out that maybe dulls some of that sentiment. But I certainly was not thrilled with where the Los Angeles Chargers were at when it comes to the injury report. Yes, I know it's a joint practice against the San Francisco 49ers. The energy is going to be ramped up. The physicality is going to be ramped up. There's going to be more banging and all the other fun stuff that we love about football. But I didn't think that the 49ers were going to bring their substation down to LA with them. It could not have gone worse for both teams, really, in an injury satisfaction. Big key players went down for both teams, and we're going to dive through all the Chargers stuff. But before we do that, hit that sub button. I don't know if you know this, but we're trying to kick the rest of the AFC West you-know-what here at Chat Sports. We have a channel that covers every single team in the NFL, but more specifically, every single team in the AFC. And we're trying to get more subscribers than they all do through the month of August. Here's the best part about this. If you subscribe to the channel, you're going to get all the latest news and rumors on your favorite team in the National Football League. So hit that sub button right now. The Chargers ended up having 3 big injuries going out of this practice, which is a really big deal. And I think that the most important one, the biggest one, the one that we are going to harp on the most right now is Tyler Biadasz's injury. Because this type of issue is something that could derail the entire season. Not that Biadasz is by himself such an elite center that there is no replacing him. He's a very good center. He is a strong center. But we've seen this happen before with the Chargers, specifically last year. Once 1 or 2 guys go down on the offensive line, you really start to see it as a not only different offensive line, but a worse offensive line. There are not a lot of men who are 6'2" plus, 315 pounds plus, that move like gazelles, that move like dancing bears, that are able to get themselves in between someone who is running a 4.6 40 and keep them away from your quarterback. They just aren't out there that much. So to lose a guy like Tyler Biadasz, it is not easy to replace him. The medical cart had to come out. He was seen slamming his hand on the medical cart as well as on the ground. It took him a very long time to get up. He did not put any weight on his leg. This is not a good thing for the Chargers, especially since you had another player that was thrown onto Biadasz. That means this was an injury that could have potentially have been avoided. Chris Rim of ESPN went into greater detail on the injury, and I think that he does a good job of highlighting it better than I could. Biadasz went down after 49ers defensive tackle Sebastian Valdez fell into his leg during an 11-on-11 drill. Biadasz remained on the ground for nearly 5 minutes while being attended to by trainers before he was helped into a medical cart. This sounds really bad. Now, at the time of recording, we do not have an injury update from any one of the coaches or from any one of the players. Justin Herbert and Jake Slaughter, they both said that it was a tough injury, that they were upset about it, but that they did not have any new information. And when you are a Chargers fan, after having to deal with Bradley Bozeman for the last year, you definitely want to have a better version at center, and Biadasz was supposed to do that. I guess I should say hyper-focusing on Bradley Bozeman last year. Biadasz, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your you-know-what. He's a good center. He's not the best in the league, but he is certainly a center that has had good performances and has shown that he is continuing to get better. The offensive line depth chart now greatly shrinks, and it actually does take away from the left guard competition. Why does it take away from the left guard competition? Well, because you only have one backup center, and that guy right now is Jake Slaughter. We'll go into more of what that means for this team in just a moment, but first, I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Today is Taco Tuesday. Throughout the day on Tuesdays, Prize Picks releases multiple discounted player projections called tacos that are marked with a taco icon. These discounted projections make a player's more selection more favorable than the standard projection. Each taco is only available for a limited time before rotating to a new discounted projection, encouraging users to check the app throughout the day. Users can include these discounted picks in any lineup alongside their favorite selections. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this year. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Kenyon Sadiq, more on his receiving TDs. Jackson Smith and Jigba, more on his receiving TDs. New user offer. Best of all, play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. Prize Picks just switched up their offers, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 plus lineup. Jake Slaughter came in as that backup center, a.k.a. the #1 center right now for the Chargers, once Biadasz had to leave the field with his injury. Now, what is a good thing to note is that Jake Slaughter is someone who is a very quality center. He did a very good job at Florida. I do think the long-term plan is for him to eventually become the starting center for this team since Biadasz is a veteran, been around the league for a while. Slaughter has shown that he can be a capable backup. It is a big ask to put someone that young into the center position already this early, but it does sound like if anyone's going to be able to stand true and do it, it is Jake Slaughter. Now, I hate to see injuries like this. One, because you never want a player to get hurt. Whenever a player gets hurt, especially in the National Football League, it impacts them in a major way. It impacts their livelihood, it could impact their career, and it could, honestly, speed up their career. I will say that this is a situation where it is nice to have Jake Slaughter as your backup. It does allow you to plug in a player who had a lot of success in the SEC at center, so the idea is he should hopefully be able to come in and perform on the up and up. And he certainly played pretty decent against the Texans, but he played pretty decent against the Texans at guard. It's a big ask to go from guard to being center and basically being the second quarterback out there. I hate that Biadasz got hurt. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully it's not something that is season-ending. How are you feeling, Chargers fans? Lots of big news, lots of injury news came out today. I feel like you can't be feeling all that good. I'm not feeling great, even with some of the better information that's come out recently. I don't feel good. Quentin Johnston, he ended up having a injury, although I guess I should say I was excited to tell you all that it was a major injury. I should be even more excited to tell you that there is some good news with Johnston here, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. He came up for a big catch on the sideline, contested play. Sounds like he was able to make the catch, but he immediately had trainers working on him, suffered a lower body injury. Kind of sounded more like everyone got tangled up together. So when he did end up coming down, there was like a rolling of the ankle situation. So not all that good. When you look at his career, it feels like Johnston has been making strides forward. And from everything that we've heard from camp, albeit some drop issues still kind of befuddle Johnston, it does sound like he was moving in a positive direction. Now, if you're Quentin Johnston, you can't have a major setback here. You just got your fifth-year option picked up. You want to get picked up in a way where you get a big extension. And so you want to be on the field, you want to be as healthy as possible, and you want to be having as much success as possible. Producer Tom did a good job of going and grabbing this because this did come out while we were in the middle of getting ready to film. Quentin Johnston, according to Adam Schefter, he is going to be fine. It sounds like he's not going to miss much, if any. Maybe it was just more of a rolled ankle situation. You throw a little tape on that guy, he's going to be right as rain. So there is a good injury update on Johnston because it did look like the sky was falling there for a little bit. Kyle Kennard, edge rusher. That's the last kind of big news that I want to talk about when it comes to the injury front. Now, Kennard is someone who is battling it out for a position. He is right on the fringe to making this 53-man roster, which is a little different than Biadasz and, of course, a little different than Quentin Johnston, two guys who are going to be on the roster, that I guarantee you. Kennard ended up having to limp out of practice. He was seen working with a trainer. Fingers crossed for him that this doesn't end up putting him on the sideline for an extended period of time. When you look at the depth chart for that edge rusher position, it certainly feels like there is a big push to see who is going to be that fifth edge rusher, that fourth edge rusher, because it could be the difference between making this team or not, right? Now, Akeem Mesidor, he ain't going anywhere. Tulia isn't going anywhere. Khalil Mack isn't going anywhere. Seems like Bud Dupree is solid. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Dame Tucker? Is it going to be Kyle Kennard? I would hate to have Kennard be in a situation where he doesn't get to get out on the field and practice and improve his stock. You can't make the club in the tub, and this is an unfortunate thing for Kennard. It was a brutal day for injuries, so there was a lot of unfortunate news, although it does sound like there's some good things going the way of Quentin Johnston, which is a good thing. It is a good thing that Johnston is getting some positive injury news there. I do want to ask you guys, obviously, second preseason game of the year. It is coming up on Thursday. Chargers taking on the 49ers. How confident are you that the Chargers will end up coming away with a victory over those 49ers? Let us know down below in the comment section by scaling it 1 to 100. 1 means you have no confidence, 100 being you are fully confident that the Chargers end up taking care of business. I did want to leave us with some good news from a playing standpoint. Omarion Hampton was just running through opponents. He ended up having a very good day. So this is something that's important to kind of make note of and keep in the back of your mind. The Chargers, they might have found their running back number 1, and that is a very, very good thing for the team. Thank you guys so much for coming in and joining us today. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content that we have here on the channel. Plus, we are closing in on 6,000 subscribers. I just looked down, 180 away. That's in real time. Probably by the time you click on this video, we'll be well past that. Hit that sub button, stay informed on everything, and help us get to 6K. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Can't wait to see you next time. And as always, bolt the freak up.